Hello, creative friends. I'm going to show you the behind the scenes to setting up your art for print on demand, specifically with Gelato. I recently shared about my results that I got from them for art prints in multiple paper styles, as well as greeting cards. And I want to show you the back end of that. So how I set up the artwork so that it was exactly how I wanted it in a tactile format, where it's tangible, that we can hold in our hands, and it's so exciting. That being said, let's look at behind the scenes. I'll start with art prints, and then I'll show you the greeting card process. I ordered a few different paper styles in the wall art, and I want to say that the posters, while they're listed in posters, I do think that I told them this. I said, you need to put them in fine art because they really are fine art quality. So you can see under posters, it says museum quality matte paper, premium matte paper poster. I ordered all of these samples because I wanted to see, which one I liked the most, but I also wanted to test the quality. And I will say all of the quality is amazing. You can see that really the only difference that I noticed is the weight. So you'll have 110 pound paper, 250 GSM. That was the museum quality. And then the fine art poster, you'll see 80 pound, which is still a really nice thickness. So 200 GSM. So I would say just choose according to the thickness that you want, and then you can go in and upload your art. So here, the sizes, there's so many sizes. I mean, you could go 8 by 10, 8 by 20, 8 by 12. Like the ratio is fantastic. So if I was to do a 12 by 16, let's say, you can change from vertical or horizontal. You're just going to say create order. And from here, you'll drop your designs right in. The first thing that we want to look at is making sure our file is set up correctly. I'm just going to walk through this so you can see exactly all of my messy behind the scenes layers that are not even labeled. So you can see how I put this together. So for this artwork, this would be for a greeting card, but you're going to apply the same principles to if you want to upload an art print. If you are uploading your art from a scanner, you just want to make sure that you're uploading it at the right DPI. I recommend doing this at 600 DPI. You want to submit artwork at a minimum of 300 DPI, but if you scan in at 600, you know that you're safe to scale up if you need to, especially for smaller paintings, and it won't be as pixelated. You can obviously look at the scan and make edits as needed, but for this example, let's look at a digital piece. This is Procreate software, but the same will apply for any design software as far as the size and your color space. So you're going to want to look at, in this case, if I look at this canvas, I have the dimensions set at 3600 pixels by 4800 pixels, the physical width of that. If you use inches, 12 by 16, I have it at 300 DPI. This is larger than the product I'm using inside of Gelato. However, I always create artwork a little larger than I think that I need to, because you just never know what you're going to want to put it on. And so if you're safe with the size right off the bat, then you're good to go. The other one to look at is the color profile. Let me show you what that looks like on a blank canvas when you're setting it up. So if I set up a new canvas, you'll have this on whatever design software. There's a color profile. We have RGB, and then we have CMYK. Now, depending on where you're uploading, they will require one or the other, and they can color match to RGB, but it's going to be more difficult. What I mean by that is RGB is a digital color space. CMYK is based on cyan, magenta, yellow, and then key, which means black. And this is traditional printing. A lot of printers now will use a digital printing process, which means that RGB is safe to play with. If you use Procreate, this is a hot tip, the standard by default is going to be on display P3. Change that to RGB, just the first one underneath, because this profile, this color profile, display P3, was created for Apple devices. So your colors are not going to translate across devices or in print as intended. So just use RGB or CMYK. That said, Gelato does specify that CMYK will give you the most accurate results. I know that's a lot of tech stuff, but I just want you to be able to get the results that you really, really want. Let me show you how easy it is to upload artwork. I've got a few of these saved already because I dragged them in before. So what you'll do, drag these over and drop them, and then they will appear here. You'll see this little alert, and that's telling me the DPI on this artwork for the size that it is too low. So it might turn out a little bit blurry. I will say I tested it anyway on this size and it turned out fine. But just as an FYI, especially if you're working digitally, like this was a sketchbook, so I didn't care as much if the edges were nice and sharp, but that's where the DPI really comes in handy. You might set up artwork that's 10 by 10, 300 DPI, but then if you try to create an art print that is 20 by 20, your DPI will go down because it wasn't built for that size. I hope that that makes sense. You can drag and drop and it will replace, or you can just click and it adds basically layers to your art. So that means that you can set up, for example, what I ended up doing with one of the pieces I ordered. So I brought this one in and then I thought, well, I don't know what kind of background that I want. Maybe I want it to be white, but I want a little something else. So then I uploaded this design. You want to deselect. If you have this selected and you tap it and you tap a new artwork, it's going to replace it. So I'm going to tap out of it and then it will add it as a layer. So I wanted that to be the background and I just brought that full size so that the edges all lined up. And then you can move this move the layer to the back and you just go to position and then you'll say backward or all the way to the back, which makes it really handy. And that allows me to have more control over elements. And it's essentially building your artwork right inside the design studio, which is incredibly helpful. I did this with one of their wooden posters because I wanted to see how that would look, because I wanted to test that paper too, because you're getting kind of like a frame situation with the paper, and it was just as great. All right, let's look at greeting cards. I want to show you the spot foil treatment for greeting cards. This is so much fun. I was curious, like, if I needed to upload an entire design, like front and back on one. That's what I've done in the past with greeting cards, but on their software, you don't have to. Let me show you how I set this up. So I had this piece done already. It didn't say thanks. I just had this piece. And then I decided to put in some lettering that said thanks. I applied an overlay to see what it would look like in gold. I also changed the colors a few times to see if I wanted the more of a rose gold or more of a silver, which is absolutely not necessary, but I just love a good visual. But before that, what I have here is you see these sprigs right here. I thought, well, it would be fun to carry the gold from thanks and have it be somewhere else, but maybe subtle. So what I ended up doing was taking these pieces and putting them on their own layer. And then I ended up turning all the layers off. So it has a transparent background, but the size is exactly the same because it's going to sit where I want it to sit. And it just makes it for easy placement. And then I don't have to like scale and figure out, you know, what size to put that where. But you can do this with any sort of design. Like I could have the same thing with thanks. I could have easily just hand lettered this and then saved it as a PNG, so with a transparent background, and placed it where I wanted to place it. But I decided to do all of it in one piece and then just export it separately. So I turned off the layer for thanks. And then I turned off the background layer because you can assign a background layer in the design studio. So I went to export and share, and then I exported it as a PNG. From there, I went in and I turned on only the thanks layer and did the same thing. I went to export PNG and then just saved that. And then I did the same thing with the sprigs. So let me show you the rest of how I set this up. So you're going to go to cards, and these come in packs of 10, which means that somebody could order a pack of thank you cards or a pack of a certain design, and that way they have more than one, and it's so much fun. So let's go into, they have postcards and they have greeting cards, and I used greeting cards. And this is a really easy software. You can choose the size, you can choose the paper, you can also change this setting within the design studio. So we'll stick with this one for now. You can also decide if you want horizontal or vertical format for the fold. And then the foil, again, this is something you can assign within the design studio, but for now I'll go with gold. You'll see the nice thing about doing it now is that you'll see a price increase. I think that this is actually not bad because it's under $1 for the full pack just to add foil, which is amazing. So let's go to create order and upload this art. So I'll take this PNG file and add it. It's going to have that transparent background, which is going to allow me to put anything in the back, and it's going to show up as I intended. I'll go ahead and drag this so it's full size within, I'm gonna go just outside of the cut line because I want it to go to the edges. And that looks about right. I'll bring this down just a little bit. It doesn't matter so much when you don't have a background, but it will matter if you are trying to, you don't want any cutoffs of your design to go all the way. And just know that the cut line is just inside of the edges. So you want to make your artwork have a little buffer for that. So if you have a background on your art and you have like just the right amount of spacing, you might want to add a little seam allowance, if you will, so that it doesn't cut off any or come too close to your art. But for this PNG file, it doesn't have a background, so we are good to go. What I'll do to add a color to the background is I just tap the background and you can snag any color. Now, what I prefer to do and what I've been doing for a long time is actually creating a layer for a background instead of changing the color. So I'll actually create a rectangle and then change that. I don't know why. I think it's because I just like everything to have a layer versus working directly on the background. You'll see that this is hovering again, so we're going to position that to the back, and then we can change the color by going to this little fill color, and then I'll just choose a, let's see, like a dark gray. And then from there, I can go back to the files that I sent over and I can bring in the sprigs in a separate layer. You want this in a separate layer because you need to assign where the foil is actually going to go. What you can do to make this easier is instead of trying to drag it to fit just perfectly, I'm going to delete that. I can tap on this layer that I already have and duplicate it. So I'll go up to this duplicate symbol, duplicate it, and then have that hover over because it's going to snap into place. And then I'll drag and drop this over into it, and it will, because I set it up, right, so that it would be exactly the same canvas size, it will go where I want it to go. If you did your canvas sizes different or you have an element that is not cropped the same or something, you would have to do it manually. But that's just a little tip. So it didn't look like anything changed, but if I pull this over, you can see that that layer is indeed there. So that's great. I have one more element, so I'll go ahead and tap on thanks. You see that it brought it in here, and I can readjust that if I want. I know it was the same size, but I think I want to just change it ever so slightly. And then I can add in where I want those foil pieces. On the left, you'll see foil, and you'll see that I have these layers here, and I don't have them named, so it's a little chaotic, but I know what they all are. So I have my floral layer, I have my background layer, that's the rectangle, and then I have this copy that I made, which is these sprigs. I'll turn that on, and you can see a slight change, like right here, let's look. Slight change, so it gives you a visual that there will be foil there, and then the same thing for thanks, changes that one. And so those are the elements that I want to be foiled. And if something blends too closely, don't worry, that's going to be foiled. It's going to be lifted and raised and shiny and beautiful. The next thing I did, because I wanted my cards to feel polished, was created some elements on the back. To do that, I created separate files. So I have this one here that says hand designed by me, and I just made that a lot smaller and placed it in the center. And this setup allows you to kind of snap it into the middle so you know that it's in the middle. And then I added some text. So I put printed in the USA on PEFC certified paper, and this is confirmed under their product details. So I'm really proud to be able to offer this in my shop, and then my website and copyright, and then also the logo for FSC. And one of the things that I love about Gelato is that you can customize the inside of cards. I have never been able to customize the inside of cards, and let me tell you what, I get so excited about that. So I brought over some elements, some PNGs, and you're able to rotate, and you're able to rotate them and resize them and place them where you want them to go. And then the inside also has this very fun effect. So that's very exciting. And then from there, you're just going to say save, and then they are going to show up in your cart and you're ready to order them. Now you can integrate directly with your store. They have integrations with so many different shops. So Shopify, Etsy, TikTok Shop, WooCommerce. It's one-click integration. So if I want to add it to my Shopify, I'm just going to install it. And then bam, your store is connected successfully. So I can take this art print and within Gelato, add my title, add the description, add any settings that are generated from my e-commerce, publish it to my store, and then it will automatically be sent and published live to my store. And they have some mock-ups that you can use, but I've actually gone in and edited it in my store so that I have imagery that I wanted. But you can see everything is here and I don't have to add any variants manually or anything. And when an order is placed, it will automatically be sent to Gelato, fulfilled, and shipped directly to your customer from a local to them production hub, which means that they are getting faster shipping and better carbon emissions. So that's a win as well. So you can see overall, this is a very easy platform to use. I'm really happy with it. I have never seen this type of a setup in a design space where you're just uploading your art. So they have really checked the boxes there, which did make me nervous at first. Like, how can you be so thorough here and also deliver quality on the other hand? But I am so happy across the board. I don't share about stuff that I don't get excited about. So hopefully that's helpful for you, learning to set up your artwork and upload it to a print on demand so that you can get your artwork in the world, because it can be so much easier than having a ton of inventory and having a bunch of shipping to handle when you just want to be making art, right? Okay, that being said, I'll see you guys next time.